Can the Guardians beat the Twins? Currently tied in the ninth inning. You'll find this out and more on today's episode of Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Guardians. I'm your host, Jeff Ellis, formerly of Scout, formerly of 24/7, now all of Locked On, as I like to say. As I mentioned before this, I was a draft and prospect analyst writer for those two sites and for primarily Indians Baseball / Indians Prospect Insider. I was there at the beginning, back when I was Indians Prospect Insider. This is my co-host, Nacho the Cat, a 15-year-old diabetic tuxedo. He likes to come on and make his statements known, and he's a little unhappy about the 3 runs given up in the 6th inning. This game is currently in the 9th as I'm recording. That passed ball drove me nuts. Anyone else? You're there primarily for defense. You're certainly not there for your bat with the way you've been hitting of late, Luke Maile. It wasn't even like he just got pulled up there. So that's what, 2 outs now if everything goes. No, 3 outs. Yeah, 3 outs. So at least they got out of it. But that made me a little bit nervous when you had the runner at second there. I haven't seen if it ended up being measured as a pass ball or what. I want to thank you for making Locked On Guardians, though, your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you get podcasts. It's always weird how those things get put in the box score. You have to look down and find them. But let's talk about this game today. Yeah, go ahead. Steven Kwan, 3 for 4. And then I know Amed has been great. My concern with Amed is, if you remember, this is almost identical to a year ago. If I were to go and pull up his data, he didn't have a great start. Remember, he wasn't even the starter at shortstop. He was more of a utility guy for the Guardians to start a year ago. And then they switched him to shortstop when Andres got sent down, when he struggled so badly out of the gate that he got sent down. So before I get into this last year's split data to compare this year to last year with Amed, before we talk about the minors, let's take a second and talk about what came out about Freddie Freeman today. I can't be the only person who couldn't help but think about Jose Ramirez and his situation as everything came out with Freddie Freeman. I can't be the only one, right? If you missed it, Doug Gottlieb came out with so first, why did everything happen this weekend? It's why is he so upset? Why is Freddie Freeman struggling? Well, Freddie Freeman found out this past weekend that the Braves had made him a final offer and that he was never told about it. And then Casey Close, his agent, told the Braves he did a counter offer, told the Braves they have 1 hour to respond, and the Braves then promptly went out and traded for Matt Olson. It's fascinating because if that deal falls apart, if Freddie Freeman resigns with the Braves, do the Guardians acquire Matt Olson? There is a chance they trade for him. They were in on him. They're one of those teams. You have to imagine Bo Naylor would have been part of that package. I can't really guess beyond that, but that would have been interesting. And if he was willing to sign the contract he signed, that would have been great. If you locked him and Jose Ramirez up to be your middle of the order for a while, I would have been very happy with that. Having said that, it didn't happen. They went out and pivoted quickly because of Casey Close. And then, like I said, just this weekend, Freddie Freeman found out that Atlanta actually offered him a contract. So he fired his agent because his agent didn't loop him in. And his agents didn't loop him in because he wanted more money. And I think he got about $30 million more, but something like $47 million. One could argue the Braves contract was more valuable because he got something like $47 million in deferred money, heavily deferred money. And as much as Bobby Bonilla Day is fun, I know we all love that and it's coming up very soon. The fact of the matter is, it's better to get your money up front. You can invest it and make more if you have it's why, everything I've ever seen says go lump sum if you win the lottery. He's making less. He ended up making less money than what the Braves offered up front. Overall ability to earn off of it is lower. So his agent ended up costing him money and making him leave the team he didn't want to leave. And why am I talking so much about Freddie Freeman? Think about it. Jose literally found out that the Guardians were hours away from trading him to San Diego. There was a deal in place to trade him to San Diego. I had that from a very good source. There was a deal in place. Again, from what I understand, it would have been just about everything in that farm system. So, I mean, I'm glad we have Jose, but the upside is we would have had Mackenzie Gore if they had done that trade. If you look at the way he's pitching, remember how I kept saying all offseason, let's trade for Mackenzie Gore, let's compile and trade for Mackenzie. Oh, I was right on that one. But, yeah, to sit back and look at what's happening, Jose basically his agent did not want to take the deal that was offered. I know. And this is why Jose needs statues in Cleveland and should be one of our most beloved athletes ever. Jose ended up getting involved himself and saying, I want, right off the catcher's mask. Don't see that often. But Jose got involved. Jose said, I want to stay. Let's get this done. Freddie Freeman trusted his agent implicitly. And right now, you can't help but wonder, how Jose feels. Does he look at all this and be like, yeah, man, that's why I got him. I think Jose's keeping his agent. He's not firing him. And his agent was very honest with him. That's another bonus for that agent, right? That guy was just very truthful about the situation the whole time. But it's hard to look at those two players, two guys who did not want to leave. And because Jose was a little more hands-on and had a more trustworthy agent, whereas Freddie Freeman trusted his agent implicitly. And, if you are a client of Casey Close right now, I'd be firing him as well. I wouldn't trust that guy if I heard that he did not tell me about an offer and did not give me the ability to make a choice. You are there to negotiate the best deal, yes, but you're also there to let me choose. And he got greedy, and now he's without one of his big-name clients, and it's going to hurt him long-term. I don't see any way. Nice hit by Andres down the line there. Chance for extras? Nope, just the single. Andres has been scuffling a bit, so that is nice to see, getting on base here in this situation in the bottom of the ninth. But to get back to it, it's why agents are like sharks in the water. They're going to be calling his clients. They're going to be reaching out. They're going to be like, okay, do you sure you want to stay with this guy? You heard what he did. Casey Close is going to have a hard... I think I looked online. I think he's worth an obscene amount of money. He's married to Gretchen Carlson, who used to be at Fox News. So both people who made a lot of... I want to say he was worth over $1 billion. He's part of a big group. So he's not going to be hurting, but still... kudos to Jose and his agent who worked as a team, and I can't blame Freddie Freeman for being upset right now. And Jose does his own thing. I don't think he's paying attention or really cares. Jose is about Jose, and I mean that in the best possible way. So I don't think he's really paying attention to it. But, if guys are talking about it around the clubhouse, which probably comes up, it's probably did you hear about this? This is crazy. He's just got to probably be sitting back and thinking, yeah, he's got to be very happy with his choice right now. In the rest of the show today, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about Oscar Gonzalez and his, hitting the wall, let's be honest. We're going to continue to talk about this game as it's occurring. And I'd like to talk about, we also had some promotions, prospect-wise to get into, and, just continuing to talk about, the state of the minors that are, Oscar, double play, gee, oh no, he runs well enough to get out of it. That could have very easily been one good on Oscar for running down the line there. But... it's not looking good. We're going to kind of get into what's going wrong with Oscar. We're going to get into the numbers. We're going to go back to what I talked about earlier, to compare Amed Rosario's season last year to this year. And then we are going to talk some minors, talk about the promotions, all on today's episode of Locked On Guardians. And our first fantastic sponsor is LinkedIn. As the sun comes out and small businesses are back in business, LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier to grow your team. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find people you want to interview faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job in the purple #hiring frame to the LinkedIn profile to spread the word you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the right candidates. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnMLB to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, so nothing came in that inning. We're getting back into it. So let's take a moment with Amed. So if you're curious, basically a year ago he had a 54 runs created plus in the first month. This year, a 50. Now he's only an 83 in May. Last year in May, he jumped up to a 122. Then he had a 102 in June, 67 in July, a 164 in August, and 57 at the end of the year. In other words, he is up and down, up and down, up and down. This year it went 50, 83, 146. And then for his career, last year he had 99 runs created plus. This year he's sitting at 98 runs created plus. His best year was that year in the Mets in 2019. He had a 101 runs created plus. He's a league average bat. He's going to have high highs. He's going to have low lows. He's going to be a 2 to 2.5 win player. So again, it's not so much that I hate him. It's not so much that people accuse me of like being anti Amed. It's just he's limited. He's a very limited player. But because he plays shortstop, he is going to get expensive and more expensive. Like in arbitration next year, let's see, this current year he is making $5 million, or $4.95. Another year, close to league average production, I guarantee you he's $8, $9, $10 million. This team can't afford to pay $8, $9, $10 million on a 1-year rental for a shortstop when they have all the shortstop prospects in the world. All the shortstop prospects in the world. No one else has any. They're all in Cleveland. All of your shortstops are mine. So that's why I think you got to move on. And again, I am totally fine with, the other thing to consider, and it's, someone mentioned this on the website today, advancing the runner there with the fly out, Eli Morgan in this important situation. Palacios really hustled there. Not much more you could do. Oof. The Mariners cannot afford to have anyone else hurt. But yeah, there's Richie Palacios. He gets in there to get that right up against the netting. But to get back into this with Amed, the other thing to honestly consider, it's if you're not going to play a Peyton Batenfield, I can't fault that throw either. It was there. It was just Jose couldn't get all the way. It was a good attempt on all parts. If a Batenfield isn't going to play, I am also good with trading for additional pieces, trading for a Jackson Churio. If Milwaukee is going to contend this year, let's just go talk about the Milwaukee Brewers for a second. So if I want to do it via roster resource, I clicked on the wrong link. The Brewers, everyone assumes they're going to be contenders, and they are leading their division by a game over the Cardinals. They have needs. We all have needs, right? But they have needs. Colton Wong has been not particularly good. He's been struggled with health. Luis Urias has been pretty solid at third. Willie Adames has been a good shortstop, but they just have they're running Jace Peterson out there in right field quite a bit. He's also playing some third for him. They've got needs. This is a team that has many needs. If they could end up getting someone who could play a shortstop for him, like a Rosario, maybe he could play third, maybe he could play short. Again, and if you can get someone I don't know if you get Jackson Churio right now. He's one of those guys, I think a lot of us who are interested in prospects like him is a far out piece. But yes, my host likes him as well. He's doing some things in terms of ISO that the worst player has ever done is Randal Grichuk. So he's doing some pretty amazing things down there. But okay, so you can't get him. Maybe there's someone from last year's draft class they'll trade. Maybe they'll trade Tyler Black, who I really liked out of Wright State, who was their comp pick. If you can get somebody like that who you don't have to add for another, this is another 3 years, I believe. That's valuable. That's something you need to also consider doing. And again, I'm not saying it's necessarily for Amed. I'm saying if Ty Freeman isn't going to play this year, if Ty Freeman is completely buried, I am okay trading Ty Freeman to a team like Milwaukee, where he would probably become their starting second baseman tomorrow. And if you can get someone like Jackson Churio, if you can get someone like Ty Black in a piece, if you can do something if you can get a player that does not need to be added right away, go ahead and get that done. I am fine with a move like that. Those are the other type of moves to consider. Now, in terms of Oscar Gonzalez, so right now he is at a 4% walk rate. There is, people with a 4% or lower walk rate who are qualified batters in baseball. I believe there's 5 of them when I looked. They are Luis Robert, Avasel Garcia, Maikel Franco, Jonathan Scope, and Salvador Perez. Yeah, there is 5. Number 6, Amed Rosario and Andres at 8. That's part of the Guardians' problem. They got a few too many guys who just don't work counts enough, don't walk. And yeah, and then when you look at his like walk to strikeout ratio, like who's got a worse, like the number 1 player is Jose Ramirez, the number 3 player, Steven Kwan, the number 4 player in that, Yandy Diaz. How did they let that guy get away from him? Like it just, with what they do now, he is their type of hitter, and they gave up on him. Who's got a worse like walk to K ratio in all of baseball than what he has done this year? There's only about 7 guys, and it's all those same people except for Jared Walsh is also in there. And essentially, what this comes down to is these are players that are incredibly inconsistent throughout their careers. Robert and Walsh are the exception, but they're young guys and haven't played a lot. I just don't know what to make of what Oscar's done. And then he is currently, his ground ball percentage is 52%. That feels high to me. He's, for a guy with power, he's just hitting everything on the ground. And that's why I kind of expected to see a double play. Now, again, he runs well. He's a good athlete. Yeah, 52% would put him, like right now, he doesn't qualify because he hasn't been up enough. But 52.4 would qualify him currently to be 10th in baseball. His profile, honestly, most closely resembles, if everything works for him, is Randal Grichuk. Like, that is who Oscar Gonzalez could become. That's probably his most typical outcome. 20 plus home runs, very low walks, strikeout percentages over 20, and then just inconsistency in terms of production. Some year good, some years mediocre, but at the end of the day, it's a guy whose high value was a 3 and has had some negative WAR seasons. So basically, this is my long way of saying, I don't think Oscar Gonzalez should stop you from promoting anyone and or playing anyone and or trading for anyone right now. He was lightning in a bottle, and I appreciate everything he has done, but I am not holding a candle and expecting him to turn it around. I don't have that faith. And there we go. Twins take the lead in extras on the hit. That stinks. But you expect, no! Is that better? There's only one out. They can get more than one run right now. But, and Sam Haggerty, former Guardian, 3 for 3 day. How about that? Traded for Kevin Plawecki, along with Walter Lockett. Don't remember who they traded to San Diego to get Walter Lockett. Can't go back far enough in my mind for that. But still, man, that's what? Again, you don't really... I can't fault Eli Morgan when it's the ghost runner rule here. It's like... If that's not in place, he's got to run it first. I can't be like, oh, it's 3 straight outings where he's giving up a run? No, we're not going to play that game. But, that's what's kind of going on with Oscar Gonzalez. He's just not been... He was going to come back to earth. It's a hard profile to find consistent success with. High ground balls, no walks, and then the power just has not been there for him like it was in the minors. It's changes to his swing and his approach. I guess you can kind of look at that, but I don't know. I'm sorry, he's at 54%. I was looking at the wrong data. He's 54.3%. It's even a higher percentage. But yeah, no, he is right now just a guy I look at where it is hard to find anyone who's similar to him, who has found success. And even guys like Grichuk and Robert who have were center fielders. They weren't corner guys. And again, this isn't me hating on him. It's just the understanding that what he has done is awesome and amazing. And honestly, with a .8 WAR right now, he is probably one of I would say he's at least top 15 draft and or international signed and developed outfielders since Manny Ramirez was selected in the early 90s. That's how bad they've been. I bring it up many a time. Since Manny Ramirez, the top outfielder they've drafted and developed or signed and developed is Luke Scott. And then you have John Nunnally and Ryan Church and Joe Inglet, who was an outfielder when they drafted him. And then it's Ben Francisco and Tyler Naquin. And then it's Steven Kwan. What Kwan has done this year has already put him next on that list. Steven Kwan is already 7th. By the end of this year, he'll move, if he plays the full year and keeps producing how he has produced, he'll move up to like top 5 based on 1 year. Because that's how bad they've been at finding outfielders in this. Oof, that was a nasty pitch to Polanco there. But we're going to take commercial break number 2, come back and talk about some minor league performance and some minor league moves, as well as seeing if we have an end to this game. Maybe the Guardians can pull something off on today's Locked On Guardians. Let's talk about the Sports Card Investor app. Right now they have over 630 cards, and they're adding more every day. It's not just MLB. It's every sport you can imagine, even Marvel cards. I have shown many times, thanks to Sports Card Investor app, I found out I have a rare John Hanna rookie card from 1973, and I was using it as just a part of a game. Don't be like me. Go check out your card. Well, be like me. Go download the app and check out your cards now. See what you have. You might be surprised what you find that is valuable, especially if you're not... Listen, I spent a good part of my youth collecting cards, but I am not a card person anymore, so I don't know about it. And it's kind of useful to go and look up and see. At some point, I'm going to use that app to go through the closet of cards at my mother's house. Just not yet. Download the Sports Card Investor app today. Available for free in the Google Play and Apple app stores. That's right, it's free. It's an app, and not only that, it's something that can help you in terms of selling your cards. It'll take you and help you figure out the eBay of it all if you want to start making some money off that old childhood investment. It's available for free at Google Play and the Apple app stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked-on. Let's also talk about, hey, if you make money selling your cards, you can maybe make more money going to betonline.net. It's your number one source for all of your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports development, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, scores, and BetOnline remains the best place for all of your sports scores, podcast news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite sporting events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. I want to apologize to our fantastic sponsors for what might have been a slightly dead inside ad read as I watched Max Kepler hit a 2-run home run. So now we can talk about Eli Morgan's struggles. I mean, game log it. Let's just talk about it. This is on the fly. We're supposed to talk about prospects. He has now given up a run in his last 3 outings. He had been so good before that. He just amazing. And then it's like, and he was at a 162 last 3 outings. He's now up to 278. It's over, 1.16. This is rough. And here's the thing, too. I'm just kind of curious to go through and look at this. Throughout his minor league career, he has been extremely home run prone. And guess what? 2 of those games were home runs that he has given up. And that's 2 this month. And he'd given up 2 all the way back in April, had 0 in May. So that could also be some regression. I'm sorry, he had 1 in May. So that's probably with the data. So he had 1 total home run he had given up all year. And this has an update. He's actually got 3 in June that he's given up total, but 2 in his last 3 games, after having given up 1 for the first 2 months. I don't know if he's tired. I don't know what's going on, but there's been some regression. I mean, he's the guy I want out there in that situation, but I mean, 3 runs in the inning, 2 earned. Max Kepler remains a Guardians killer. It's time for me to put the kiss of death on and be like, okay, so they're going to lose. Especially when Emil Pagan is on the mound. The Guardians are going to lose this game. This is someone they struggle against. Please. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to, they struggle against him. Officially that, talked about earlier, Luke Maley, it was a pass ball. So let's talk about this game before we get into it. Who has reached base multiple times? Amed Rosario has 3 hits and a walk. 3 hits for Kwan. Is that the only walk in the game is to Amed? I would have never in a million years bet that would happen. That's the only walk in the game would belong to Amed. Double by Rosario, double by Kwan. I think we're going to get Owen Miller here, pinch hitting. He has been ice cold for about 2 months now, so I'm expecting big things in this situation. Listen, I'm going to take a minute recompose myself, and we'll talk some minor league baseball. So that was very loud and very close to the mic, so I'm going to apologize for that. The Guardians called up Xavier Curry and Logan Allen to AAA. Now, I talked about how it's a bit of a situation that stadium is less than ideal. They were called up because they need someone to cover Tanner Tully's start and Connor Pilkington starts, and they match up. I'm not saying, well, he didn't strike out. He didn't advance the base runner, so you pinch hit, and he did nothing. Yay! Owen, he's just not been good. Like, that's what it gets down to. He had one good month that was 50 plate appearances. Last year was not good, and this year, outside of the April-May time, has not been good. Like, at some point, you got to make a... And when he's scuffling this badly, and your hitting coach isn't doing anything to help him out, like, and you're counting on him to be an everyday player, then you're just hurting your team. He's not, like, he needs more, he needs to be optioned down. He needs to get, like, everyday play in a situation where he's not hurting a team that was trying to contend for a playoff spot. Thank you, Emil Pagan. I assume that's going to advance a runner, but this team needs 3, not 1. But those guys move up, and it's fine. It's like a lot of that, if you look at the Pacific Coast League, it's all disaster zones for pitchers just because it's a lot of stuff out in the desert and the ball carries. But Cleveland's Park, it seems to mess with people's heads. I'll stand by that. I'm going to stand by that thing. They've had multiple players that have skipped that level in the past. It's not hugely important, but they do need guys out there making those starts. I don't think it's going to set anyone back, but they did get promoted, and they just have too many guys in Akron. I mean, I think at some point you promote them and you just hope that nothing goes wrong because you're just, you're going to move everyone up and they're getting close to the big leagues. But let's be honest, Logan Allen isn't joining this team anytime soon because he doesn't need to. Gavin Williams, they need to go out and make the trade. They need to go out and figure something out with this team to open up some roster space because they are so crunched and they don't give away anything for free. Like, they value every little resource to the point that, Steve Kwan was trying to hit a 6-run home run right there on that swing. But just talking about, like, minor league play. So let's get into it. Let's look at the Cleveland Guardians minor leaguers. Fun fact, number 6 in runs created plus in the minors, Jason Chourio, who was, I believe, their top international prospect a year ago. Now he's doing that in the DSL. But his brother is Jackson, who we talked about with the Brewers. Wouldn't it be? I mean, this team does like to collect brothers. Again, if you could trade Ty Freeman for him and maybe get him plus a piece, maybe figure something. I'd have to sit down and look at, but I'm all for a trade like that right now. One that, if it was Freeman's on the 40-man, and it clears up your 40-man. So, I can't remember when they traded Mark Mateus for Matthias. And he ended up playing in the big leagues for Milwaukee. Milwaukee's 40-man is not deep. They have the spots to do such a deal. So I'm gonna again keep saying that. But you're like, okay, so how many of these guys are like in the summer leagues, Arizona? Most of them, when you're looking offensively, except for number 7 and number 9, who are a pair of outfielders in George Valera and Will Brennan. I was talking to someone that Will Brennan, based on the first half of the season, like if I'm making a short list of top 10 prospects, like the 10 names that pop up, Valera and Brennan are there, Espino and Williams and Allen, Nolan Jones. This is top of my head, so I always, and then I'm also going to cross up and forget and try to name the same people multiple times, I'm sure. So it's like you have Ty Freeman, we talked about earlier, Rocchio, Arias, and then who am I leaving off? It was inevitable. I was going to leave someone off. You didn't think I was going to actually be able to keep all of those names in my head. I'm probably forgetting some. Oh, Bo Naylor. Bo Naylor is who I was leaving off. But like those are the 10 names that come to mind for me right now. Those are the first guys who hop in there. And I feel like, what about Stephen Kwan? I don't believe he qualifies anymore. I think he is too many plate appearances. He is no longer a prospect. It's not like I'm that much dissimilar. I just pulled up the MLB list. Like they have Jose Tena, who's really struggling right now, and Angel Martinez. I mean, if I were to make an 11th, I'd still probably have Lavastida there. Guys like Petey Halpin and Cody Morris would probably be in the early teens, as would John Kenzie Noel. But yeah, it's such a deep system. it's wow. They've got Will Brennan. See, that's the thing. Like, I appreciate what the guys at MLB do, but like, why I cannot take it for a ton of value is because it's an impossible job. They're relying on others, and then you got guys like Will Brennan sitting 29. Watching him, there's no way he's in top 10 right now. There's just no way. He's doing everything. He's walking more and he's striking out. He is very, very similar to Stephen Kwan in terms of what he has done in the minors this past year. And again, he's ninth. He's at a 146 across multiple levels. He leads AAA in batting. He has not lost anything. 12th, Bo Naylor. 13th, Will Benson. Again, I don't buy into Benson. He's got 235 average in AAA. I appreciate that the K rate has come down and the walk rate has gone up, and maybe it proves me wrong, but I still don't see a pathway to success. He does not make enough contact. Reminds me when I had a guy in OOTP, like 6 or 5 or whatever it was, where it was like he had a 0 in hits, but he was brilliant in everything else, and I just played him, and he could never, if you can't hit enough, it just doesn't matter. Angel Martinez, who we've mentioned many times on this show, is another one of those guys I have to add, is 16. I skipped over Alex Call. He's 27. I don't know. I appreciate, again, what he's doing in the system. And that's Alex Call, who's 14th in the system. That was the return for Yordan Alvarez. Not only did they, make that terrible, not Yordan Alvarez, that's the good guy. That's the all-star DH. That's not what I meant to say. Yonder Alonso. Wrong Y name. They actually got something interesting there. And then Angel Martinez, Milan Tolentino, and Jake Fox all in a row there. Milan, since his promotion, has seen some dipping. And sitting there at 20th, you have Joe Naranjo. And then to go down a little bit more, you got to talk about Micah Pyers. So we have not talked about Micah Pyers too much this year, and he was struggling in the get-go. He is 24 years old. He was a small school guy who they took in the 13th round, who put up big numbers in college. So he gets drafted in 2019, 2019, doesn't play in the minors that year, misses all of 2020 because, COVID. Nice. Dropped. Extra bases. Who knows? Maybe I am. Maybe I can. No, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to, if we're going to go full jinx monster here, then I am not going to say a darn thing. But, so things are at least fun right now. But for Pyers, he started out rough, and then he's, his walk rate is up a little bit this year. He's got a 124 runs created plus. He just won the Eastern League Player of the Week. He's got 12 home runs. He's got a 252, 324, 505 slugging. At least give him credit. He's an interesting outfielder. He was, a small school guy who didn't get to play in his draft year or his year after. Last year was his first year in the minors, and he played well. And he continues to kind of slowly move up. And, he was a Point Loma Nazarene player. Big frame, but let's see. The question is always hit tool. It'll be interesting to see if he continues to perform. He just becomes another interesting offensive player for this organization. And again, he was the Player of the Week in Akron. He's another outfielder, and he's, 24th, I think, in terms of runs created plus. He's one of the more interesting bats. But, like I said, at 22, as you go through this list, Joe Naranjo was 20. A lot of young players, a lot of interesting ones, but there's Valera, who's got nothing to prove in AA. 158, he is just destroying the ball. There are people who still think that he's, who get to the big leagues and they'll feed him low fastballs, and that'll be the end of time with him. But he's already on your 40 man. What are you waiting on? At this point in time, honestly, what are you waiting on with Valera? Gonzalez isn't hitting. Owen Miller isn't hitting. If you're like, well, okay, Owen Miller isn't hitting, but we feel good about Naylor, Rosario. Amed is too much of a chemistry guy. We're not going to trade him. We're not going to, Andres is, he's slowing down a little, which is inevitable with the pace he was on, but he still looks like a potential all-star. Jose Ramirez, future Hall of Famer. So you're like, well, Miles Straw, we gave that money to. He's been really unlucky. Stephen Kwan has been fantastic. He's maybe not huge numbers, but he does so many little things that he always brings value to the game. It's like, well, I mean, the guys you're talking about aren't catchers. They're not. Well, again, Oscar Gonzalez should not be holding back George Valera. He should not be holding back Will Brennan. And Valera is already on the 40-man. Brennan is a must-add at the end of this season. You need to, these are guys, you might as well, let's start getting to seeing what they can get done. I appreciate Oscar, but it's such a slim margin to success. I know you're out there being like, well, you didn't think Amed would be, but Amed had some history of it, and he is being himself, just streaky player. There just aren't guys like Oscar Gonzalez. There aren't guys with high ground ball rates who never walk and strike out over 20% of the time who are effective. There's like Salvador Perez and Randal Grichuk. And Randal Grichuk, however you say his name, is, on his fourth team. St. Louis, Los Angeles, Colorado, and Toronto, right? Yeah, fourth team already, because it's just the lack of consistency drives teams mad. And, Oscar, by all accounts, seems to be a fantastic dude. Yeah, I am kind of vamping for time here as Jose Ramirez comes up to the plate with runners on second and third in a 6-4 game. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to end the podcast with Jose at the plate. Were you kidding me? We'll at least watch through Jose. But I appreciate, again, everything Oscar has done. We got George Valera in AA. You got Will Brennan in AAA. They are better prospects. They have more likely positive future outcomes. And I understand that Oscar Gonzalez is one of two right-handed bats in this outfield mix, counting the other one being Franmil Reyes. They just have no right-handed hitters amongst their top-end prospects. So I get why. Oh, under it. But doesn't even get one across. Because Buxton is such a good center fielder. Like most center fielders, you might do that, not against Buxton. You got the guy you want in the right situation. Jose has still not looked quite the same since that thumb injury. That's just the truth of the matter. He's just under that one. So, yeah. Final thoughts. They said we need to be less scattered. I don't know if I can ever be less scattered, but we're going to try to work on it. Final thoughts here, just to sum it up. Most important parts with this. Brennan and Valera are exciting and interesting. Brennan is doing things that, give you thought that he could be Kwan-like. And Brennan, Straw defensively. Well, hey, they get a run across there. Another wild pitch. That's the second one of the inning. Defensively, there'd be three center fielders running around out there. Kwan's got enough arm to play right. I don't have any qualms there. I don't have any qualms. It was not intentional, but we got there. So I guess now we got to hold on through Naylor because it's 6-5 with the runner on third in this one. But when you've got, those are two really interesting players on the cusp. One has to be added to the 40-man. One's already there. We didn't even talk about Nolan Jones, who's another interesting. They just have so many guys, and I understand the idea of giving Oscar more opportunities and more chances, and that's totally fine. But Owen Miller has had some opportunities and chances, and now it's not working. And it only really worked for about 6 weeks. Maybe he gets sent down so you can bring someone else up. Maybe you bring up, or maybe they're waiting for like Gabriel Arias to be healthy, and then he can come up and kind of fill that spot. And I know Ty Freeman, Naylor was trying to hit a 10-run home run there. We're just going to keep increasing that. Freeman has been, he's shown some improvement, but he's not been necessarily great in the minors. You're going through, and it's like, it's promoting one of those outfielders and setting an infielder down. Probably not great. They already could use another infielder. But I'd rather see what some of these players can do. I don't think anyone they have should be preventing any of these players who are clearly ready for a new challenge to get moved up the ladder. Let me know what you think. Am I being unfair to Oscar? Am I being impatient with the promotions? Or do you think it is time? Let's see what, Josh. Oh, that was like chin high on that pitch. That wasn't neck high. It was late. It was an uppercut. He wanted a 15-run home run there. He was late and swing. He looked like it was a little league swing. Oof. It was there we go. That was a nice return. Fought one off that was not really hittable for on base. Jarrell Cotton is, gosh, did he go to the Reds originally? Just more proof. Like, I believe Duran, who's also the reliever who throws like as hard as Clase, was a starter. Jarrell Cotton is a failed starter. Griffin Jacks in this bullpen for the Twins, failed starter. It's just something that stands out. Like, failed starters. Is that going to go? Oh, my goodness gracious. You have to be... No bleeping way. I'm not allowed to swear. It just cut off. There we go. I mean, again, and Naylor. That's 3 of these this year. Am I allowed to not record in the 8th and 9th inning anymore? That becomes a question. Am I allowed? Do I always have to sync this up with the last 2 innings of a game right now? Because I have now been recording for 2 Josh Naylor massive home run wins. I am, oh my goodness. Unbelievable. You're kind of at a loss for words. Because it's like, I mean, I was just kind of like, okay, oh, well, that stinks about Jose. And then, they're down 3 coming into the inning. And yeah, you get the heart of the order there, but it's like, Owen Miller with the weak hit. Amed continues to just be, not literally. I hate when people do that, though it now means both things. Josh, don't break your skull. Don't headbutt someone wearing a helmet. We need you. I don't know the percentages, but golly, and that's the thing. Like right now, we talk about Owen Miller's regression. We talk about the regression we've seen with a few. It's not just him. He's been the one we've talked about the most of late. But we talked about some of the other players who started the year incredibly hot and then had their cool downs. Naylor was very hot to start the year, but he has stayed consistently good. That is the sign of a guy that, and that walk percentage doesn't strike out a lot. Home run number 9. 3 times this year we've done this now. Twice Naylor versus the Twins. Can I? Do I just, like I said, I am not a believer in jinxes until this keeps happening. I am Jeff Ellis. This has been the Locked On Guardians podcast. Remember to rate and review, download daily, that helps. Click subscribe on YouTube so you can keep getting those numbers up so I can do this more often, because apparently there's just some weird cosmic balance that helps these situations to arise when I am recording. And the reverse jinxing I am doing this year is rather amazing. It might be the best work of my career. If you want to follow me for a lot of Guardians and or draft takes, go to my Twitter at JeffMLVDraft. If you're watching on YouTube, it's right there. And as I end every show, go Guardians, go. You gotta be kidding me.